Welcome to the grand finals of a premier StarCraft 2 tournament. What I've got for you today is a best of 7 series of Terran versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Dynasty. Now, spotting right here in the top right hand corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have none other than Clem, and his opponent playing with the red Protoss probes. Of course, we're looking at none other than MaxPax's main Nexus. Alrighty, so if you're watching this video on the day that it goes live, this particular series was played last night. It's the grand finals of, it's a long tournament name, okay? It's the grand finals of the ESL StarCraft 2 Masters 2024 Spring European Regionals. There you go, I can barely say that without taking a breath halfway through. So this is a premier event that is fully played online, and the top 4 players of the EU region, they qualify for the main event that will be played at the end of this month over in Dallas. So for the European region, there's a prize pool of $75,000. For the main event, there's a prize pool of $100,000. And then besides Europe, there's also the American region as well as Asia. Now, what in the world do we have over here? Are we once more doing this, MaxPax? Okay, so I've seen him do this once before, where he goes for this cheeky golden base on what we would consider to be the wrong site. Usually you go for the Nexus right over here, but if MaxPax pulls this off in, well, this important of a match, he must truly believe that this is the go-to way to play it, and I honestly can't really blame him all too much. It's pretty far away. It effectively is now a proxy expansion, I guess, for MaxPax. But problem is, if you go up against Clem, he will definitely make, for example, a bunch of Reapers into a bunch of Cyclones, into a Medevac, and then eventually a Siege Tank. And it's just really difficult to actually control as Protoss from this wall-off. So, I mean, it's a mineral wall-off, I guess. But anyways, interesting to see MaxPax bringing this out once again, because I haven't seen too many Protoss players experiment with this. MaxPax, though, very much so somebody who grinds game after game after game. He's pretty much always online, so he must truly believe that this is the way to play. Right from the get-go, though, that does mean that we've got ourselves a very interesting match of StarCraft, because, well, this is immediately going to change the entire dynamic. It's going to be a Stargate opener here as well for MaxPax, so eventually, I guess you could go for a Void Ray here. Might honestly be the best choice, although an Oracle, of course, would be the gold standard. Okay, we're going to recall a bunch of probes together with the Stalker, and apparently they are going to be meant right here to kill that bunker. There is a shield battery, but it's not within range. There's another battery finishing up. Yeah, we need to see some probe micro over here to try and bring those bad boys within range right there of the batteries. Obviously, at this point, we do also have a Nexus overcharge potential, but you do need energy for it. And he doesn't quite have it. Although I think this is going to be okay, though. This looks very chaotic for MaxPax, but I think it's all right. Salvage right there on the bunker too. Clem is going to be pushed back for now. It's just going to be double Reaper straight into a Siege Tank. Okay, so no shenanigans right here with Cyclones this time around, which seems to be usually what Clem goes for. Important to note, by the way, that Clem does not yet have an expansion, so he is still just on a single base. And even though a Void Ray may have been an idea right here for MaxPax, if this would have been Cyclones or something even more aggressive on the back of it, this is fine, yeah. Good scout as well, though, for Clem. He ends up killing 2 of those workers now in total. One of the advantages of taking this base is, of course, that you don't just have the golden minerals, but also the rich Vespian Geyser. So, the golden minerals, they return 7 minerals a trip, rather than a conventional 5 from the blue mineral fields. However, a rich Vespian Geyser actually returns 8 gas a trip, rather than a conventional 4. So essentially what this comes down to is that you get a booming economy with far fewer workers. The only problem, of course, that this is all very disconnected, and it's going to be difficult here for MaxPax to really hold on. Until he finishes Blink, it's going to be difficult for him to really go around the map. So far, good defense here by Clem, but Clem also needs to get something done. He needs to get it done quickly. Now, rather than going after the gold base, Clem decides to go for what seems to be the main, although he did turn around, okay, and kills a Stalker in the process. Oracle, in the meantime, yeah, has found its way towards that main mineral line right here of Clem. Reinforcing Terran units are popping out of those production structures, but it's going to be a little while. Siege Tank right now on the low ground of the natural, being as obnoxious as possible. We even got a bunker now on the back of this too. MaxPax wants to continue powering all of this, because Well, at least for now, he doesn't really lose anything too critical, but if this backup pylon also falls, essentially all of his infrastructure will be destroyed. Void Ray is going to make short work right there of the siege tank, and I think MaxPax is stabilizing. Him killing so many of those SCVs on the other side of the map also makes this a really wonderful game. A difficult one to micro for sure, but I think MaxPax just pulled it off. This is starting to look mighty desperate right here for Clem. There is still a chance. That siege tank. Oh, that siege tank. Yeah, that's gonna put in a lot of work. Okay, Void Ray falls, and in the meantime also a load of Stalkers end up going down. We do have the Stalkers here though that were warped in over at the gold base. They did kill that Liberator. And even though that probably wasn't the perfect micro here, I think Max is alright with it, because the only reinforcements other than this tank that are coming across right now are going to be those Marines. Medevac at this point has been pushed away too. Interestingly enough, we got ourselves Charts as the very first upgrade. I think Clem is in a world of trouble here. It's going to be difficult to get that siege tank into a better spot right there. But as long as it's parked in that location, I don't think MaxPax really needs to address it. And every minute that goes by right now, he's got a massive, massive income advantage. Every minute that goes by right now, he's getting like, what, 1,500-ish resources more than his opponent. So Clem needs to get something done. I don't think expanding behind this is really an option anymore either. There's one Oracle, by the way. Absolutely putting in the work. Well done. Very well done right here, MX. Yeah, he wants to go Archon Zealot on the back of it. So this is the I can't possibly miss-micro it type of unit composition, you know? Like, you just attack move with Archons and Zealots, and usually it does just fine. Viking ends up going down. Another Void Ray does pop out. With Blink Stalkers, you can still miss control and run into some issues, but I don't think that's really going to happen with charge slots. So, charge is finishing up in just a couple seconds. There it is. We have a flank as well coming in from the left, and upon seeing those Zealots, Clem taps out, and it's MaxPax who wins game number 1. Brilliant first game of the series. A great example as to why I'm loving the new map pool. And I agree with MaxPax, even though it looks a little bit funny, I think taking that golden nexus over on that side of the mineral wall actually does make sense. Yeah, he didn't even really need the rich Vespian Geyser, which is really one of the reasons why he would be taking it on that side in the first place, right? So, really well done, considering that was effectively a one-base all-in. MaxPax, I mean, he had to micro everything well, but he seemed to manage that very, very cleanly. Game number 2, we find ourselves on Post Youth. Another one of those strange maps. We'll have to see exactly what the players end up going for here, but usually games on this map are relatively normal. Now, to clarify, by the way, so the top 4 of the EU region, they qualify for the main event over in Dallas that will be taking place later this month. However, the top 4 of the main event in Dallas, they qualify themselves for the Esports World Cup, which will be played in August. And in case you missed the news, I did tweet about this, so I'm assuming every single one of you follows me on X, right? So you already know about this, but just in case, maybe you've forgotten, or maybe you don't follow me on social media. Anyways, that's okay. They announced a $1 million prize pool for the Esports World Cup that will be taking place in Riyadh later this year. So, honestly, kind of insane. After 14 years of competitive StarCraft, we've got ourselves the biggest prize pool ever. We have never had a prize pool quite that big before, which is pretty insane. Yeah, with a pretty significant margin too. I think there have been some tournaments with like maybe $600,000 or $700,000 in prize money, but $1 million, certainly not bad after people called StarCraft 2 a dead game in 2012. Like, I've been defending that stigma since 2012, okay? It's been a long time. Anyways, looks like there you go, MaxPax has decided to go for a proxy pylon all the way at the northern section of the map. This is actually very close to where that in-base expansion for Clem is located. So I'm assuming this is going to be a Stargate. Would be nice. 150 gas, 150 minerals. There it is. Alrighty. So, a very short little jump for an Oracle to make. Is Clem going to be able to figure this out? So what Clem is looking for with this Reaper is not just probes, but also the pylon. you would like to know where that second pylon of Protoss is located. Because usually, if you have to worry about any sort of proxy shenanigans early on into the game, it is always going to be attached to the second pylon. It's a large main base, though. Actually, it's probably the largest main base that we've ever seen, because there's literally a second expansion on it. Yeah. Yeah, so he doesn't know. It could be right over here, could be right over there. There's a lot of locations where he could be hiding that second pylon. Luckily, I guess, for Clem, it is going to be a triple Rex opener, I guess. So, it's triple Rex before Starport. Starport is nice. But this does mean that he's gonna have units, but no vision. Unless the Reaper randomly goes up north, I don't think, yeah, he's not gonna find out about this in time. He is going blind Cyclone, and he is making a bunch of Marines. Main question is, will they be in the right position? There's a fresh mule, by the way, too. That is gonna very likely be the main target right here for Max. I think it makes a lot of sense, yeah. So that's about, like, that alone is like 300 minerals down the drain of potential mining, together with the SCV. It's a lot. Alrighty. So I actually kind of like seeing these Stargates proxied, because there's not really a whole lot that Clem can do about it. So what is Clem gonna do? Is he gonna send units in that direction? Not until he gets a medevac out. So this Stargate is essentially free to produce for now. And by the time that Clem really can address the proxy, so by the time he can actually kill the structure itself, or at the very least unpower it, MaxPax will likely have no intention of really producing out of it anymore. You don't usually produce out of a Stargate the entire game long. Maybe if the game goes to distance, right, and we see a Tempest transition or a Skytoss transition in the late game, then maybe losing that Stargate would kind of suck, but we are a long while away from that, so yeah, just produce all of the units you want and then, well, call it a day. So once again, a flying start right here for MaxPax. 10 workers ahead at the moment. He's going into a third base. Twilight Council together with a forge. He needs to be careful though, because this is a very large Terran army. So like I said, no medevacs. But he's gonna hit a little supply block, apparently. Anyways, he is gonna be able to finish up Stimpak and Combat Shields right around the same time. And that is gonna be a major power spike for Terran. It is also very much so a committed power spike, though. Oracles, in the meantime, are using up their energy on the other side of the map. This is going to force Clem into an all-in. But that all-in is gonna hit very hard. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there's no way. I think the Twilight Council should probably have never come up here. Maybe the Twilight Council, but not a Nexus. MaxPax, you don't need to hold on to that base. I think you cancel. Oh, he's getting a bit greedy here. I mean, the Twilight Council and the Forge I can be okay with. But Terran is in such a tricky position right now. There's no way that the Nexus is going to be defended. That's a fourth Oracle, by the way. The Foracle, I guess, is what we can call it. Yeah, these bad boys don't have a lot of energy, so they need to be very careful. We have a sentry slowing down the advancement here of the Terran troops. I think bringing an SCV or even dropping a mule. You could drop a mule and mine out these mineral fields. I think it actually would be the right play. Anyways. So I like the economy here for MaxPax a lot, but the army for Clem is miles better. He's trying to buy time. Gonna be able to kill the Cybercore, fair enough. Don't need that for Zealots. Do we have another force field? We do, but that one is not perfectly placed, but he didn't want to overstep with that sentry and just have it killed immediately by those tanks. Alright, well now the Oracles are coming back. A dangerous play though from Clem. I think it's working out in his favor, but this could have easily gone terribly wrong. Yeah, I think this is just a little too greedy right here from MaxPax. If he would have sent those Oracles home a little quicker, if he would have maybe even produced like a Void Ray, right? Or just rallied that fourth one immediately back. A couple of different options available here for the Protoss player, and I think, well, maybe he's still gonna be able to hold? Hold up right now. Yeah, I think maybe making a Void Ray would have been the right call. Like triple Oracle into Void Ray, cancel that Nexus, Add on a couple gateways over here on the right side instead. Warp in a bunch of zealots. You should be fine. Yeah. Obviously, it's easy for us, though, when we look at these games and we think of what we would have done differently. Problem here for MaxPax is that he has, well, he's got to deal with limited amounts of information. He doesn't know exactly what the opener for Clem was. So he's trying to make the best of that information that he's got. Still making it look very close, though. We have another one of those oracles just shredding through the economy. But right now, MaxPax has lost a lot of his workers. Yeah. Usually when the fights are this slow, it's really difficult for the Protoss to clean it up. So Clem is stepping deep into the base. Reactivates Stimpack once again. Obviously, Stimpack is a costly option because he doesn't really have any way to heal them up. Oracles do come back, but I think the low HP on them is not gonna... Yeah, it's not gonna do them any favors. There we go. Oracles end up going down. We even have some stutter step micro right there on an SCV. Well controlled right here by Clem. It's gonna be the Terran who wins game number 2. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Oceanborn. Now, I have fast-forwarded through the first minute of the game, because everything looked pretty normal. But now we do have a cheeky SCV over here on the left side of the map. I guess it's going to be a proxy factory here from Clem. Should be. Yep, there it is. So, it's Marine first into a proxy factory. He will be going for a command center here eventually too. Obviously, the Cyclone did go through a bunch of changes recently. And then it did go through a bunch of changes again recently. And then it did go through a bunch of changes again recently. So it's quite difficult to really judge how good a proxy Cyclone truly is. But it should be a pretty formidable option. We haven't seen a lot of proxy factories. Yeah, they really have fallen off quite a bit. At least they have fallen out of favor. So it's a quick reactor here at home as well. That's going to allow Clem to make a bunch of Marines. Question is this factory going to be able to justify itself? Yeah, it has to be a Cyclone. It doesn't really make sense to go for anything else. A Hellion, I guess, but Hellions with Marines? Nah. You would have to go Hellions with Reapers, I guess. Twilight Council opener here for MaxPax this time around. That is his bread and butter. Seems to be what he likes most of the time. Not so far in this series, though. Okay. Let's see. Oracle will see that it's just Marines. He obviously also has not yet seen any sort of Reaper on his side of the map. And that is something worth noting here. Yeah. This Adept is going back home. He realizes that something could be a little fishy. Double shield battery coming up. Okay, one shield battery apparently is what we're going for. At this point, MaxPax hasn't seen the factory, so he doesn't know exactly what he's playing against. Let's see, Clem. Clem, by the way, has some phenomenal micro, especially when a medevac hits the battlefield. So far, it seems like he's allergic to medevacs, but it would be nice to see some of those as well later on. Well, now MaxPax knows what he's playing against. Pylon in a little bit of trouble. That pylon is powering everything. The one pylon to find them and in the darkness bind them. That's what it says written around the rim right there of the pylon. Okay, it will get shut down. New pylon immediately gets produced. Yeah, you can see that that lock-on ability is not quite as powerful as it once used to be. At least you can't just continuously lock onto those Protoss units. But yeah, with the movement speed here, it's not bad whatsoever. They can pretty much go toe-to-toe right here with those Stalkers. A very deadly dance that is going in favor of Clem. Although MaxPax is mostly just trying to stabilize here. Sadly for him, apparently, that gateway is not within range. Okay. 7 probes? I think it's acceptable. I think 7 probes is alright. Yeah, it's quite a big investment as well right here from Clem. Now there's not going to be any siege tanks or anything like that at home. So MaxPax may very well be thinking about striking back here in just a moment. Because he knows that there's not going to be siege tanks at home because that factory was proxied. How many gateways are we going to go for? Well, we currently have 2. Looks like we're going to go for a 3rd one together with a warp prism. So that one will be coming across the map here momentarily. Is that a dark shrine that I just saw? Yeah. From the corner of my eye, I can recognize a dark shrine wireframe from anywhere. Okay. Hey, by the way, if you enjoy watching high-level StarCraft, I try to upload new videos pretty much every single day. So if you aren't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon so you get notified as soon as new videos go live. Like I said, most days I try to bring you the very best games of StarCraft 2 that I can find. And sometimes I even feature my own gameplay too. Yeah, I know. And sometimes even viewer games. I know. So maybe not always the best of the best. Sometimes the best of the worst. Does that make sense? Anyways. Blink is done. Yeah, there's a lot of bio though. The Stalkers can all outrange this. Problem is, there may not be siege tanks, but there is just a large number of Protoss units. Okay. Is there enough? The micro here from MaxPax is usually excellent. So far, yeah, he only really loses that adept. The only unit without blink. Wonderful control. He was looking back at home right there for just a moment. Sniping whatever unit he can. Yeah, sorry about that, adept, but you're not very important here for MaxPax. Stimpack. Combat shields. +1 infantry weapons. Well, that last one is a little farther behind, but the other ones are coming. A significant improvement right here to those Marines and Marauders. And medevacs are now also on the horizon. Clem hoping he can maybe catch that prism at the bottom of the map, but MaxPax has decided to send it up north instead. Okay. Forge coming up, Immortal. Third Nexus is done. Yeah, MaxPax would love to warp in some units over here, but could be a bit greedy, because he needs some stuff at home as well to defend against this army. It's just ready to warp in as soon as he's done deflecting this, I think. Shield battery is going to finish up. Do we have a blink available? Nah, we don't want to chase into that bio ball. Okay. Third command center starts up right now here for Clem. It's about halfway done. But obviously MaxPax is already mining from those juicy minerals over at the third. One cheeky Dark Templar. Being as annoying as he possibly can be. Prism goes into the main base now too. Forcing a scan, picking it up in the Prism. Lovely dovely. Can't really get much better than that actually for MaxPax. Couple Widow Mines though, we'll try and see if they can potentially get within leash range right there of that Prism. Does MaxPax realize that they got burrowed there? Because he was busy. No, I don't think he saw. He was busy microing those Stalkers in the meantime. So, believe it or not, pro gamers actually only use one monitor for playing the game. Yeah, they don't actually have two monitors to play the game with. Okay, so that allows Clem a lot of breathing room though, because I think that now actually even opens up the opportunity for him to go on attack. Problem is for Protoss here that MaxPax needs to keep that Robo facility producing units. Like if you start now making a War Prism, it's not even the cost of the Prism that's the main issue. It's the build time that it occupies inside of that facility. And this is the moment where you want to be producing Colossi instead, so killing that Prism is massive. Obviously, MaxPax could at some point go for a second Robo facility. But instead he decides to go into the extended thermal lens for the Colossi together with a Templar Archives. Okay. There are a bunch of Immortals out, but this Terran army is looking huge. We do have one Dark Templar down south, but this fight, okay. Good force fields, but not bad here for Terran at all. A Colossus, though, does pop out. Colossi, great against bio units, specifically Marines. Not so great, though, against Marauders. Ghost Academy already coming up here as well for Clem. He's got a 4th command center building. The only thing I don't love right here for Clem are the upgrades. But I can say the same thing for Max, who's only just now finishing up his 1-1. Or actually only his +1. Wouldn't mind seeing a second engineering bay here at some point for Clem, but obviously this is not a game where he's particularly wealthy. And I think he realizes that he does not need to take those risks. Okay. Yeah, there is a massive Terran army out there somewhere. I was gonna say. We're gonna use Stimpak apparently to bring all those units to the front a little quicker. It's gonna be for Archons for now, by the way. Archons, of course, very powerful, especially together with Zealots and all the rest of his army. Turns out, though, Archons and Zealots are also very vulnerable to these bad boys. Ghosts are gonna be hitting the battlefield here. And that is why Clem wants to continue being aggressive. He knows he can EMP this army. And he knows he can deal a lot of damage with it. EMP removes the shields as well as energy. And with a couple of well-placed ones, I wonder if this could actually be the killing blow right here for Clem. There you go. Big EMPs do end up landing on that army. We do still have a bunch over here on the left that were vulnerable, but look at that army here from Clem. It's just massive. There are 3 Colossi. The Colossi are good, but not good enough. They need a buffer in front of them. It'll be Clem who wins game number 3. Site Delta is next. And this time around, apparently, Clem wants to build his very first structure on the other side. Yeah, he pulled this SCV right at the very start of the game. So we should go for a proxy barracks here. There we go. On the side of the Protoss. It will be a worker scout here for Max. Fair enough. No real late game so far, though. Not even really a proper mid game between these players yet. A lot of Terrans seem to be very fond of playing like big 2-2 timing attacks. Playing the late game, playing that pretty laid-back style, but in a very strange way, these guys are essentially playing Warcraft 3 1 versus 1 now, right? I mean, they're basically playing tiny little armies, microing their butts off, trying to keep those units alive and maximizing the damage that they can deal. I guess there are no hero units here, but the Cyclone is kind of a hero unit, right? The Oracle, that one's got like 3 abilities, dude. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It is very fun to watch, though. This is how they tend to win most of their games, just by out-controlling and outpacing the opponent. No creep camps, I guess, on this map either, right? StarCraft 2 with creep camps? I mean, that... It is something that map makers have experimented with in the past. Where there's like a bunch of neutral creeps around the map and they basically give you resources when you kill them. No XP, I guess, but still a cool idea. Alrighty. Zealot is going to finish up here momentarily. That one's been forced out because MaxPax sees the lack of barracks inside of the main base. Doesn't tell him all too much, but obviously when you see no barracks inside of the main and you see a bunker in your own mineral line in the natural, it's not very difficult to put 1 and 1 together. So he decided to go for a Zealot. Chrono boost as well on the Stalker. Another Reaper will be coming up momentarily. That Zealot is just here to take a bit of a beating. Shield battery would not be misplaced. Yeah. Nice timing right there on the SCV to pop into the bunker. Managed to not take any damage on that unit for the time being. Yeah, this is fine. It looks scary, but it's honestly not that terrifying right here for Protoss. In the meantime, though, on the other side of the map, we've got ourselves a command center as well building, and now also a starport. Okay. So it is effectively a 1-1-1 here, with a command center eventually. Yeah, I think these early games are annoying for Protoss, but I don't think anybody really hates playing against it too much. Like, when you're at this level, MaxPax will have dealt with these pushes so many times that he's not really going to be all too concerned about them. And ultimately, I don't love this position here for Protoss. For Terran, rather, compared to the Protoss. You lose a couple SCVs, but you lose a lot of time as well. Now, he also lost the Reaper, although I think he'll be okay without it. Oh, it's gonna be a Phoenix build here for MaxPax. Okay. Let's see. What can we do with Phoenixes? Usually Phoenixes, they follow up with Colossi. Could be Phoenix as well into a Twilight Council, but Phoenixes are pretty good at keeping the Terran player occupied. And usually they do seem to lead towards a bit of a later game. You play a bit more of a macro match when you play the Phoenix opener. There's the Robo facility. We'll probably see a Robo Bay in the not too distant future. Here comes Clem, though. This is effectively his hero unit right over here. The medevac with 2 cyclones inside of it. It's a difficult map though to open up this aggressively on because we do have a ramp leading down from the natural to the rest of the playable section. Obviously, you can drop in the opponent's main base, but at this point, Clem doesn't know that it's a Stargate opener, so he needs to be very careful. Okay, he sees it. MaxPax obviously also sees the medevac. All is good. Yep, good start right here for Max. He wants to chase this down. In the meantime, there's a bunch of Reapers here at the front, not really achieving too much either. It's a bit awkward here. Yeah, we should have enough energy. Right now. In the meantime, there are Reapers in the main base. Also taken care of. Great control right here by MaxPax. Kills both of the Cyclones, kills all of those Reapers too. There is now also a Banshee, but this is a Banshee who is trying to stay extremely quiet. Because she knows that there's no way for her to really stay alive. Now, luckily here for Clem, MaxPax couldn't resist the opportunity to try and send those what are they called, Phoenixes towards the other side. Does he see it now? I'm assuming he did. Observer is out. He's slightly supply blocked here. Okay. I don't think he noticed. No, he had vision of it on the minimap, but I don't think he saw. So he needs an observer here to see the Banshee. And these are the types of moves, though, that can bring the Terran player back again. Even though this wasn't that great of a start. Well, killing a load of probes here on the back of it is not bad whatsoever. Plus, now the entire Phoenix army has decided to go back home. 6 probes. Not bad. Can he kill some SCVs, though? Yeah. Not really a proper counter against these Phoenixes. He doesn't have energy. Huh. He wanted to kill more, but he doesn't have energy. There's one more right here, I guess, on one of those Phoenixes, but... Wouldn't have minded seeing him lift up that mule, by the way. I think the mule would have been an easy target, but... Alright, there's the Colossus coming up. Extended thermal lens. These Phoenixes' task right now is to buy time. Kill what you can, but definitely don't die. And try to keep that Terran player occupied. Oh, Clem thinking about going for a big bio drop. Very dangerous, man. Medevac's taking a page out of that Banshee's book from earlier. Very risky play. But it may just work out. Yeah, I think at this point, MaxPax realizes that something is a bit fishy. He assumes, I guess, that they have been going through the northern section of the map. But this is going to hit before those Colossi are properly upgraded. It's a dangerous move here by Clem, but it may just work out. He's gonna be able to unload. He's unloading very deep. Sorry. In the context of the game, that was not a dirty sentence, okay? Professional commentator. Ay, ay, ay. He did unload too deep, though. He should have... What I'm saying is he should have unloaded on the edge of the main, okay? That would have been a much better play. Still killed 6 workers, and he didn't lose all the medevacs, so that's nice. But he did lose a bunch. And this is starting to become do or die right now. I mean, Clem is not in a terrible position, but it is starting to look a little desperate. Yeah, problem is, extended thermal lens is done. And this is the scary part of the game that MaxPax has survived. He can still certainly misplay this. Because this Terran army is something you need to respect. Okay. Good control. Good, yeah, good work right here by Max. He wants to get charge done. I think charge is essentially the nail in the coffin. We have a second starport building. Trying to slow down the retreat right here of this bio army. Okay. Now, MaxPax usually makes another base off of this. So, at least in the past, I've seen him... Okay, not this time around. But he usually likes to expand behind this, which gives the Terran a lot of time But apparently that's not what we're doing this time around. We're going into a Templar Archives, a load of gateways, charge and +1. I think this is MaxPax setting himself up for a big attack in about a minute from now. He is gonna make another expansion on the back of it, okay, fair. Can't blame the man too much for that. But I think he will certainly give this a shot, because if you give Terran too much time here, they will be able to muster up a force that's gonna fight yours. Ghosts are coming. Vikings are also popping out. Now capable of producing 4 of those big boys, all at the same time. And once you go up to about a dozen, well, suddenly those Colossi, they drop out of the skies very quickly. Yes, these guys are in the skies, okay? You may not like it, but that's what they look like. Yeah. Alrighty. Very ambitious little marine there. Are we gonna go, Max? I think we should. Yeah, it is scary, though. You look at this army as Protoss and you're like, eh. If I hit the delete key on these Colossi, suddenly it's not that formidable anymore. With a good engagement, though, it is technically possible, but I don't disagree right here with MaxPax. Take this a little slower. Honestly, this army from Clem is looking tremendous. Again, not great upgrades. Okay. Scan over here reveals that there's no shield battery done yet. In the meantime, we do have a cheeky little Zealot overcharge over... Well, Zealot overcharge. Zealot push on the other side of the map. Phoenix is, of course, by the way, not to be underestimated against those Vikings. And those Vikings, yeah, not working on the Colossi makes this a near impossible task for the Terran. It's MaxPax who wins game number 4. Alcyone will be our next map. MaxPax decided to go for an early probe scout. You will notice that there's no barracks inside of their main base. And this is one of those cheeky little moves that make sense in a series. He has played against a Terran who did not go for an in-base barracks before. So is this once again going to be a bunker push? Yeah, well, he will have to respect it like it is one. Zealot already coming up. Just a barracks right outside of the main base. One of my favorite moves as Terran. The smallest little mind game. But it is really fun. And it is really strong. Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah, he's looking around. He's scouting for proxies on his side of the map. Look at this poor little Protoss. Poor little Protoss has been bullied one too many times. Yeah, aw. Well, now you will see the Reaper, of course, inside of the main base, and that will give him all the information that he really needs. He didn't quite see the barracks, but he knows it's somewhere close. At the very least, now that allows the Zealot to potentially go across the map. Problem is, he's gonna march straight into a Reaper. Yep. Quick reactions right here by Clem. Unless the Zealot gets help from a Stalker here in a moment, it is very likely to die. Alright, well there's the Stalker. Stargate opener here once again from Max. Okay. Really all going for a lot of Stargate openers, it seems. It's interesting, because in this particular tournament, MaxPax played a ton of 4-gate Blink. But I guess he just knows that somebody like Clem is not going to lose against a bunch of Blinky boys and a little prism inside of the, you know, Terran's main. Giving Clem the respect that he deserves. Okay. Reaper ends up going down. Looks like it will be a triple Rex opener once again, by the way, here for Clem. So just opening up with as many of those bio units again as possible. Orbital Command will be coming up. It'll be Phoenixes. Straight up once... Okay, We'll have to see how this pays off, because MaxPax doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against here. He doesn't know if it's going to be a quick Banshee opener, if it'll be a Widowmine drop, if it is going to be a Cyclone push. He basically knows nothing. Well, he has seen the timing, I guess, of the second Gas Geyser and the timing of the factory, but that doesn't really tell you all too much. So again, a very defensive approach. Looks like we'll have a Scouting Phoenix going towards the other side of the map. One Phoenix can still lift, but not as exciting. Okay. So now he knows. Now he knows that it's going to be a Stimpack combat shield based push. And that it'll be a while until the Terran finishes up both of those upgrades. Now, is that going to give Protoss really any chances to pivot? Do you go for a faster third Nexus than you otherwise would? Probably not. Do you go for a faster Robo facility? Or a Robo Bay? Do you skip the Colossi for now and go into Immortal play instead? Can you get away with all of it? These are the types of decisions you can only really learn from playing a gajillion games. And apparently we're gonna not take the third Nexus for now, and instead we're just gonna sit here, make a bunch of Robo units, but also slowly tech up towards the Colossi. Okay. MaxPax will know that Clem is not quite ready to fight yet. Clem will be unlikely to want to take an engagement until Stimpack and Combat Shields are done, which is still maybe 30 seconds or so away. But he's trying to get into a good position before that point. Immortal, by the way, super good here. Especially with a shield battery. It's going to be hard to get much done. Phoenix is in the meantime trying to patrol the reinforcing path right here for Clem. So he's just patrolling the road. Getting a siege tank, for example, would be phenomenal. Yeah, if it's a small group of Marines, pick them up. Yeah, don't mind that at all. That's good. That's really good. In the meantime, the push over here at the front has been slowed down a lot too. It is a third siege tank now though, and you gotta address those siege tanks. They're so tricky to deal with. Nicely done right here by Clem, moving forward. He's gonna need those Phoenixes at home. Immortals are great against those Marauders, but not so good against the Marines. So he probably wants to wait until the Colossus is out, which is right about right now. Is MaxPax going to pull the trigger? Okay. He's thinking about it. So what he can do is swoop in, lift up all of the siege tanks, and then fight. Good positioning here as well, though, by Clem, who's just rallying more and more units across. Okay. Second Colossus will be coming up eventually. Ooh, nice snipe over here for now, although the SCV mass repair is gonna keep it alive. No, it will stay alive. Oh, no, it won't. That was very close. We did have a cheeky little force field here as well on the other side of the map. Interesting how it didn't die the first time around. Ooh, now this is a one hell of a positioning. Yeah, those Phoenixes have to come speeding back home. Those siege tanks are now within range of some of the static defense. MaxPax tries to play this as patiently as possible. But there will be a moment where he has to commit. Okay, Clem decides to actually let go of the reins just a little bit. He knows that his army is going to be menacing, but he also knows that he can't really fight without his siege tank sieged up. So even if he wants to go back home and he wants to retreat, yeah, it's gonna be a very long road. Because Protoss can certainly jump on this if there is no siege tank sieged up. Extend the thermal lens, finishing by the way. There's another siege tank here on the ground too. Vikings up in the air are being destroyed. Nexus coming up on the left side of the map too, in the vertical location. Okay, he is losing one too many Phoenixes though. I don't love that. Yeah. 4 Phoenixes have now gone down. It's decent. We're gonna recall them back home. Okay. Nicely done right there by Clem though. Clem making some proper high-level decisions here. This is a Terran who has thrown away one too many armies into a bunch of Colossi with shield battery support. So he decides to just go back home and play it safely. He knows that charge is likely going to be done at this point, or at least close to finishing. So committing to a big fight there is a bit too much. He has successfully delayed the third Nexus for a very long time. But he did see that it was building on the left side as well. So he must realize that this is not going to be a 2-base all-in or anything along those lines here for MaxPax. Okay. Phoenix is still roaming the map. Picking up whatever they can. God, those Phoenixes have been so annoying for Clem, man. They've actually been getting some really good value. Even though 4 of them have died, then it kind of sucks, I guess, for Max. He would have preferred losing less than that, but he is getting a lot of value out of it. Zealot warping on the right side of the map as well. Ready to unload into the main base. Let's see how deep he will unload this time around. Careful though, Max. You have to go up north, my man. Ooh. Those siege tanks are getting into a beautiful position. Lovely work right here by Clem. Yep. And that positioning alone is, I think, gonna give him the kill on that base. I mean, this is apparently now triggering MaxPax to try and defend, but there's not enough Phoenixes available anymore to really lift up all of the tanks. Reinforcing bio units here should be showing up eventually. Reinforcing zealots also do appear, but just like that. You will give Clem an inch, he will take a mile. The Protoss army is seen out of position and Clem immediately snap calls that attack. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Alcyone. One thing to keep in mind is that these players have been hyper-focused for many hours now. Whenever you're playing a StarCraft 2 tournament, you're not just getting away with one series. You have to play multiple series that day, unless you get eliminated early, I guess. But if you make it to the grand finals, very rarely is that the only series that you're playing that day. So what that means is that both of these guys have been focused hardcore for many, many hours. It only takes a moment, right, where you just sort of, well, in that previous game, for example, MaxPax parked his army over at what was going to be the 4th base. He was just sort of wandering around a little bit, not really positioning his units perfectly. That is the only time that Clem really needs. And maybe that's one of the things that MaxPax needs a bit more practice with. Even though Clem is, well, he's like, what, 21? Maybe 21, 22 years old, something like that. He's still very young. Clem has been competing at the highest level for many years now. MaxPax, I mean, still very young too, according to his Liquipedia. I think he's like 18 or 19 years old at this point. But what it comes down to is that he hasn't really got that practice that Clem has been doing for many, many years now. And I can imagine that hardcore focus is something you can really only learn by actually doing it. Clem only needed a moment there, and he immediately made that snap decision to jump on that base. It'll be a Stargate opener right here on Alcyone as well. Keep in mind that on Alcyone, or Alcyone? Alcyone. It's been a long cast for me too, apparently. On Alcyone, you have this section on the map, this left section, that is only accessible after you either mine out the minerals or if you destroy the rocks. Creates some very interesting dynamics, although it seems like it's not that popular of a map overall. Don't really see it too much. Nice control right here by Max. Lovely. Gets 3 Marines for his troubles. Don't park them too close, though. Don't lose them. Okay. Yeah, that was brilliant. Really well done right there, my Max. If you end up still losing those 2 adepts, it kind of sucks. Forcing the Marines back. Okay. A third adept is going to slot in front right here. Shields, of course, have been regenerated. It'll be an Oracle opener this time around, straight into a Twilight Council. So no shenanigans here with, well, for example, a Phoenix into Couple Cycle or something like that. 1 SCV, 2 SCVs. Okay. Not a bad start right here for Max. I guess Alcyone actually also has a ramp, much like Side Delta. Yeah, Alcyone also has a ramp leading down from the natural to the rest of the map. Interesting. We don't really see this map all too often. I like it, but seems like a lot of the pro gamers don't. Alrighty. Medevacs are ready to fill themselves up. A cargo full of Marines. We do have Blink coming as well on the other side of the map, but at this point in time, it's only about 1/3 of the way done. Nexus building here on the left side. Oracle trying to be annoying. We'll kill 2 more SCVs, but this Nexus is toast. Yeah, Probius, don't do it, man. I know you're proud of your creation, but it's not worth it, dude. Okay. There are a lot of Stalkers available, but actually no shield battery in the natural. Okay. It's gonna unload in the main base once again. And suddenly that nice little lead that MaxPax created for himself is not that great anymore. He does still have the Oracle in the top left-hand corner, so that's something. Nexus now building here on the right side instead. 8 probes, though, going down. A bunch of probes on idle, too. Not quite ideal. Cyclone in the main base. Still perfectly defending everything. Stimpack is done. Combat shield is going to finish up in a moment. +1 for the infantry units is not going to be finished for a long while. Looks like we're ready to go for some Marauder production once more. That means that we should see concussive shells here in just a moment. Quick upgrade though, so not really something you have to rush out, but also not really an upgrade you want to forget. Alright, Clem lifted his foot off the gas for just a little bit. He knows that Blink is going to be done at some point. And being caught against MaxPax on the other side of the map with your entire army, right? With, yeah, a Protoss here that has Blink, it's very tricky. Did he see that? No, he did not.
The enemy has discovered us.
Okay. Clem actually may have a little bit of a flank. Yeah. Grabs the Oracle because of it. He is trying to regroup the units. But he also tried to, yeah, I think he wanted to boost over those rocks and maybe try to go for a bit of a sandwich right there on those Stalkers. We're getting to the point, though, where Terran is outgrowing Protoss quite a bit. Losing Stalkers here, lovely sandwich once again. This is brilliant stuff right here from Clem. Yep, really well done. Again, maybe just a lack of focus, right? I don't really want to call it a lack of focus. It's just like a lapse of judgment, I guess. It's one of those things where it's been such a long day already that you just start making little mistakes. And Clem, that is all he really needs. He's bringing everything he's got towards the other side of the map right now, and these units really hit very hard. +1 infantry weapons just finished up as well. Clem is trying to stimp for the win here. I don't think he's gonna have quite enough yet. Reinforcing Protoss units should show up and ultimately clean all of this up, but look at the supply count. Yeah, look at the supply count. It is indeed going to be enough. Clem also sent the rest of his army towards the bottom of the map, and that means that Clem is your ESL StarCraft 2 Masters 2024 Spring European Regionals Champion. There you go. Longest StarCraft 2 tournament name ever. Hey, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please hit the like button down below. I know it's a little annoying that I ask, but it really does help. Maybe it'll allow us to continue growing this game in the future too. Thank you to these absolute bosses and legends that are scrolling across your screen for directly supporting the channel. If you're interested, there's a link to my Patreon down below in the description of the video. For now though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I hope to see you once again tomorrow for another one.